took a real interest in Carcanos for a few years. You know, one reads about all the different military rifles used by all the major powers, and the Carcano usually gets terrible reviews. The Japanese Arisaka usually gets good reviews, and yet we know that the Carcano was approved by the Italian military, so it had to have some good features, and we know it also was used and worked some of the time. So I bought the carbine, I bought the rifle from memory. I don't have them anymore, else I'd have them on the table. I sold them. Tyranny was one of the arsenals. There were a few. And about a year ago I knew most of those things by heart. But what I have left, and this is why I thought I'd make the video, are a couple of carbines that were modified from the military. And these are actually quite accurate. One of them I think I paid $25 for, and the other one was maybe $100 or something like that. The people that sold them to me didn't really know what caliber they were made for, but I could tell from the bolt that it was a Carcano. And by now you probably know the operation of these Carcanos, so I'll just show you the decent one. This is the Sporter. But somebody put a lot of work into this. It has, and this was not a home or a garage gunsmith operation, I don't think. This looks like some kind of production run to me. And I had one of these, or one very similar to this, that actually was stamped made in Austria. So maybe after the war, you know, everybody was looking for foreign currency. Maybe somebody set up a little factory. Anyway, first of all, does it work? Yes, it works extremely well. Is it accurate? It's extremely accurate. Is the bore good? The bore is, say, 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Is the stock good? No, it cracked through here. I don't know why. There's no recoil. Maybe a horse stepped on it or something like that, although I don't see any horseshoe marks on it. Anyway, the bolt itself is fine. It works. It's smooth. The Carcano has this odd safety. I mean, it reminds me in some ways of the Arisaka, which also has an odd way to put on and off safe. So the bolt is locked. We can't pull the trigger. That's on safe. And then there's this knurled section here on the, I don't know what you would call that, striker or extension, or just call it the safety. Unfortunately, this knob is not long enough to really grab very easily. So to take it off safe, just watch what happens with the bolt handle. You push this forward, and oh, nothing happened this time. It's quite often it'll lift like that, but not every time. And yeah, you get this kind of thing happening. There, it lifted. Anyway, now we're ready to fire, so we should close that. The set trigger is good, and actually the set trigger is kind of perfect. A lot of times I get those set triggers and they're out of adjustment, and whoever worked on this or built this, they even put an adjustment for the let off for the front trigger. And actually I've taken this gun apart, and it has an adjustment for the set as well, which is kind of unusual. The sights are kind of crude, and on the barrel it says 6.5 millimeter. So I remember the fellow said it could be 6.5 Carcano, which would be logical, but he felt it could also be 6.5 by 54, the Mannlicher Schönauer round, and that would be kind of consistent with the Austrian remake or remanufacture. Anyway, this one's in Carcano, not the Austrian round. And over here, well, before I do that, I'll talk about this one. This was the real cheap one, and the bore is actually surprisingly good. This one just has the single trigger. Everything works on it. And the for those of you that don't know, the Carcano has essentially Mauser-like features, no claw extractor. Actually, I guess they took a Mauser rifle and then made it really badly. Is what it amounts to. They took away some really good features, and I have no idea why. but these things happen. The extractor is kind of interesting. It's inside. You won't be able to see it, but it's inside this lug. One of the theories with Mausers is that one lug is weakened by extraction and so on. But they bury, it's kind of a Sacco extractor buried in the bolt face, which is on the right side, which is interesting. And then ejection is accomplished by this bar, so when you pull it back, that's not supposed to happen. That means something's wrong with the trigger. Yeah, how's that for entertainment? Anyway, yeah, well, that makes my job easier actually. This is what kicks the round out right here. And that's probably one of the reasons I got it so cheap. But I buy these types of things is if you need a part for a Carcano, whether it's the Sporter or some other military one, it's not bad to have a gun that you can sort of cannibalize and take parts off of. So those are the rifles. And then this, you probably know all this, but I was fumbling around looking for ammo, and I realized how many 6.5 rounds there are. So there's the 6.5 Japanese, and you don't often see them all together so that you can kind of get an idea of what's what. But this is the 6.5 Japanese, then comes the 6.5 Carcano, and what I'll do is, as I mention them, I'll move them closer together. I like this one the best. It's kind of a semi-rim design. It's an extremely low recoiling, wonderful little cartridge. That's the 6.5 by 54. The boxes correspond to the order. Here's the Creedmoor that's the same 6.5. Everybody's very excited about the Creedmoor. And the Creedmoor uses the modern short powder column, so fatter case, shorter case. The theory is that the powder burns more in the case than in these, but I don't know. Anyway, this is the 6.5 by 55, Swedish. Everybody knows that one. And then comes the 6.5 by 57, which has been around a long time. And then the Europeans ages ago made the 6.5 by 68, which is about the same as a 264 Winchester Magnum. So you've got the, roughly the family. Now on a piece of paper I wrote down, I don't have the 6.5 by 284 on the table. I don't have the 264 Winchester Magnum, which would be either, before this or right on the same spot. Maybe a little more powerful, I'm not sure. 6.5 by 300 Weatherby would be the fastest. And then on this side would be the 6.5 Grendel. I don't think I've ever owned that, or maybe in one gun. But there certainly are a lot of 6.5 cartridges, partly because this is a fantastically efficient bore diameter. The ballistic coefficients and sectional densities. I mean, I don't know what the sectional density of this round is, but in relation to the diameter of the bullet, the length of the bullet is ideal. I mean, the concept is roughly that arrows are efficient. We may not think of them as bullets, but a long, thin bullet has tremendous penetration. And you can see the Creedmoor is really nothing extraordinary, but it's popular, and that's good for the gun industry, so that's fine. Anyhow, and if I didn't say it, that's the stripper clip that fits in the Carcano. And for some reason it wasn't holding cartridges today. As you could tell, I probably have not handled these rifles in a long time, but your comment made me think of them again. And this particular little carbine, I mean, no one could say it's a bad rifle. It does everything it's supposed to do. As I said, I'm not sure why exactly that stock cracked, but anyhow, I'll have to look into that. So, if you're building something based on this action, it's certainly strong enough. I never found anything particularly wrong. Some people complain the bolt handle is a little too far forward, but that's the first thing they say anytime. The bolt handle isn't right here, as if it were a Mauser or Model 70 or something like that. But cool action, kind of historical, and easy to operate. Not that much more to say, but I thought I'll show you these. And if I come across another, my favorite actually, which I sold, is the carbine, the very short cavalry carbine. I had at least one of those, and what happens is I have them, and then somebody comes along and they like them, so I sell it. But I'll find another one. Anyhow, I hope that's useful and interesting, at least in some ways. Thanks a lot for watching, and you take care.